All right, so we are a quarter of the way through the NFL season, and it is time for my updated weekly power rankings. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. You can check out the power rankings 32 to 1 in the description box down below. I will start off talking about the bottom 5 teams. Is it to anybody's surprise that the Arizona Cardinals are sitting there at 32? By my estimation, they're the last winless team in National Football League. They should have beaten the Seahawks on Sunday, and they didn't get it done. Now, I expect this to change at least a little bit as Josh Rosen gets into rhythm and the flow. They'll win a couple of games somewhere, but this is still ultimately not a very good football team, and their record bears that out. The Bills came crashing back down to earth a week after smashing the Vikings. They got smashed in Lambeau by the Packers. So we're kind of back to where it really feels like they belong. They truly are one of the worst teams in the National Football League. I feel really bad for Josh Allen, too. Whereas we talk about Josh Rosen and say his situation isn't very good, the talent around him isn't very good, even though he's got Larry Fitzgerald, he's got David Johnson, he's got a young receiver in Christian Kirk. I completely agree with that assertion, too, mind you. It tells you how bad other things are on that offense. You look at the Bills and you look at Josh Allen, and what does he really have? An aging LaShawn McCoy, and a bunch of crap to throw to in the passing game, and that's the truth of the matter. And a questionable offensive line. If the dude makes it through this season with his confidence intact in any way, shape, or form, you might have something, Buffalo, because God knows it's going to be a tough season. The Giants at number 30. They're a bad football team, and they're playing mostly bad football, and Gettleman looks like a clown for not having taken one of the young quarterbacks in this year's draft. Not that Saquon's been a bust. Not that he hasn't been pretty good, but if you're going to keep Eli, you had to do a better job of upgrading that offensive line than what you did. I mean, this is a guy that went into the season with Eric Flowers as one of his starting tackles. What more do I really need to say? But you look at the Giants, and you've got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Saquon Barkley, and you're 1-3. That's terrible. The Jets and the Raiders are both in that bottom 5, too. I know the Raiders just got their first victory, but they got a little bit of help from the refs, and they still had to beat the Browns in overtime at home. Their defense stinks. They can't get any pass rush. Derek Carr, on the flip side, has been pretty good, though. I would expect as the season goes along, the Raiders are going to move up the rankings a little bit because they've been competitive in all of their games, especially in the first half. And if their schedule eases up a little bit, they could get a little bit of a run going here. And as far as the Jets go, some questionable coaching on Sunday. The offensive talent around Sam Darnold stinks. They've got their quarterback of the future. They do. And they did have to face a tough Jaguars team, but still. It's going to be a long season, it looks like, for the Jets. Now, in terms of the top teams in the top 5, number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals. I could almost go 5A and 5B with the Bengals and the Ravens. But I have to give the nod to the Bengals because the Bengals beat the Ravens in this case. You look at Cincinnati. They're 3-1. Last-second victory over the Atlanta Falcons. They've beaten the Ravens. Even beating the Colts doesn't look that bad anymore because the Colts at least are a competitive team every week. Marvin Lewis and his team, first quarter of the season, getting the job done. They've got talent on both sides of the ball. They're a balanced team. They look like they could be for real, at least in terms of playoff positioning and potentially competing in the AFC North. Number 4, my Chicago Bears. That defense is good enough to get the team to the Super Bowl. If you've got Mitchell Trubisky playing even anywhere close to the level he played at on Sunday, this team is really scary and nobody wants to face him in the playoffs. The Bears are 3-1, a second-half collapse against Green Bay away from being 4-0. This team can get after the quarterback. They play really good defense. They can run the ball. This is a pretty good Bears team right now. Only a quarter of the way through the season, granted, but a pretty good team. Number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming back off of that loss to the Titans, which doesn't look as bad, I guess, after the Titans beat the Eagles. The Jaguars handle business. They smashed the Jets. They're 3-1, and they still feel like one of the more notable teams in the league. It feels like that's where they belong. The top 2 teams remain unchanged, and it's the 2 teams that are left undefeated in the league. The Kansas City Chiefs at 2 and the Los Angeles Rams at 1. You look at the Chiefs, their defense stinks. And you wonder just how long you could get this type of performance out of Mahomes. But man, show me Mahomes is a lot of fun to watch. Show me Mahomes is a stud. He's going to get the Favre comparisons. He's going to get the Aaron Rodgers comparisons. And there's nothing wrong with that. This dude is a talent. He's a freak. The Chiefs have all types of weapons on offense. And they are easily one of the most fun teams to watch in all of football. And all those years I bagged on the Chiefs for not taking a quarterback in round one. They hadn't done so since 1983. Todd freaking Blackledge of all people. Yeah. Was 34 years. Well, for Chiefs fans, it sure looks like it was worth the wait. And as far as the Rams go, they remain in the top spot. They look like the best, most complete team in the league. Jared Goff playing at an MVP level. Todd Gurley is a stud. The weapons they've got outside, while Peter Schrager is getting a little bit crazy talking about statistically they're the best ever, especially in an era that you've seen such a proliferation in the increase of the passing game, you've still got Cooks, you've got Kupp, you've got Woods. This is a team, they kind of remind you a little bit of a greatest show on turf type of deal with a big-time marquee franchise, dual-threat running back, and 3 receiving options on the outside that can get the job done, and an incredibly accurate quarterback with good football intelligence that gets rid of the ball quickly. That sounds like the Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Azahir Hakeem Rams of the 99, 2000, 2001 season. Almost 2 decades later, the Rams are right back in that same boat again. They're an impressive team, and they right now have to be the favorites a quarter of the way through the season to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC East. Sorry, it is early in the morning. Please forgive me. I'm trying to rush through this before I have to leave for work. But we still have a lot of season to go. And these are my power rankings after week number 4. You're as always welcome to chime in with your thoughts in the comment section below, and I may or may not read them. I don't know. All right, see you later.